back, Dolphins. Today we're going to be discussing something I think all of us want to happen, but I'm going to tell you the truth right now. I am almost positive that these things are not going to happen, but these are the things that are going to save the Dolphins season if they truly want to have a shot in making the playoffs, making this thing right. Well, I think a lot of us want to fire Mike McDaniel. I think that is tough. The only reason I say that is because when Tua comes back, he's probably going to start lighting it up, and then McDaniel's going to get his butt saved by Tua again. What I truly think needs to happen is, if we're going to save this season, Mike McDaniel, which again, like I said, 90-something% chance that it's not going to happen, needs to give up play calling. He needs to give it to Darrell Bevell, because Darrell Bevell has been in the league for a significant amount of time. He understands the process in play calling rhythmic plays, making sure he's calling the right plays at the right time. He understands that, because what we saw from the Titans game is that the plays work. Tyreek Hill was getting open. Jalen Waddle was getting open. It's just Mike McDaniel doesn't understand how to play call. And I truly believe you have to look back at his time when it came to the Shanahan offense, in that he was the offensive coordinator, but Shanahan was the play caller. Shanahan did all the different things that were supposed to be done. It wasn't like Mike McDaniel was calling these plays. And it's clearly showing right now that he doesn't have the experience to do that. It's different on the defensive side, because Shanahan is not a defensive guru. He wasn't the guy. So that's why he constantly had great defensive coordinators. But when it came to the offensive side, Shanahan called the plays. So if Mike McDaniel wants to save this season, because at the end of the day, if we win just one of these games and go into the bye 2-4, Tua's going to come back. And what's going to happen is Tua's going to start doing what he did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I understand that the Bills were an outlier game, but Odell Beckham's going to come back. Bradley Chubb will come back. We'll get a lot more reinforcements. I think Isaiah Wynn might come back too. But number one thing that needs to happen right now is Mike McDaniel needs to give up play calling. If he wants to save his job, he needs to give up play calling, and he needs to just design the plays. He's really great at this, designing plays for players to get open. He's very good at doing that. But calling them at the right moments is the issue. We tend to see that with a game like yesterday, we're trying to go for 40 yards down the field instead of just Tom Brady, Dink and Duncan, Tyler Huntley, just RPO. Like I said in my last video, if you check it out, I said RPO. You need to run a lot of like the Lamar Jackson style of offense, a lot of RPO, a lot of short dink and dunk passes, and running the ball. And of course, what do we see? 40 yards down the field, bombs, this and that. Like, he still wanted to implement his own offense with a dude that's been there for maybe 7 or 8 days. It's ridiculous. So giving up the play calling is number one. Number two, I think Chris Grier is going to get fired. But regardless of what happens with that, you need to trade for an offensive lineman. You need to make a trade for some team to get some sort of offensive line in there. The offensive line looks horrendous. As always, Chris Grier laughed at everyone. Talking about the offensive line, he laughed at everyone like it wasn't a big deal, like it hasn't been for the past couple of years. Tua's an injury-prone quarterback. How do you solve that? Not by doing jiu-jitsu. You solve it by getting a good offensive line, so he doesn't have to do the things that he had to do before. If you trade for an offensive lineman, it will then alleviate a lot of the running and things that Tua, and the getting the ball out quick that Tua has to do, and allow him to just play football. That's the key here, is that you build a team through the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. And what did we do this year? We kind of dissipated both. Now, the defense is playing fine. I don't really have a problem with the defense. They're giving us a shot. But the offensive line, you just completely obliterated it. Trade for an offensive lineman. Get reinforcements for the offensive line. And once Tua comes back, it will be solidified more so that he doesn't have to do the moving and all of that stuff. Of course, it'll still happen, but it's not going to be the same. Like, this offensive line is horrible. And this poor guy has never had a good offensive line in his life. Tua clearly made this team because he's accurate, he gets the ball out quick, he's smart. I got to say this. If you got this dude an offensive line, I think we have a Drew Brees on our hands. But of course, the typical Dolphins, they want to do some nonsensical BS that doesn't make any sense by not allowing this guy to have any protection. It's time to get him an offensive line, trade for an offensive lineman right now. Number 3. I think number 3, it might be crazy. Trade Tyreek. I truly believe that at this point, you're going to get a lot for him. I think Tyreek is kind of, he's kind of a cancer. I understand he has the big plays and it's great, this and that. But Odell Beckham's coming back. Jalen Waddle, I truly believe that Jalen Waddle is only like this because he wants to be the number 1 guy, and Tyreek is taking that role. And Mike McDaniel just forces the ball to him. I think if you get an offensive lineman, if you trade Tyreek for an offensive lineman, it's going to be significantly better because you already see the guys, getting crazy on the sidelines. He's doing all this stuff with the cops, all that crap. I would say the amount of return that you could get for a Tyreek Hill this point in the season, you could get an offensive lineman and a couple draft picks. And honestly, I think we have enough weapons to be able to allow Tua, again, this goes, if you do the first 2, Bevel calls the plays, trade for an offensive lineman, you'll give enough time for Tua to be able to get the ball to whoever, because Tua can do that with anybody. But right now, he needs to force the ball to Tyreek because of Mike McDaniel. These are the things, if we do this, we can save this season, and we can honestly have cap room to move into the next season to get another offensive lineman. Because I'll be real with you, I do think that Chris Grier is going to get fired because of the pure negligence that he's had towards the offensive line for, I think he's been in the term for like 6 or 7 years, and he's consistently, what's crazy is that we've drafted good offensive linemen and consistently has traded them away because he doesn't think that the offensive line means much to anything. Laramie Tunsil, Robert Hunt, Connor Williams. We've had consistently good offensive linemen, and continually he trades them away. I think the last thing is Chris Grier has to get fired because it's ridiculous that you draft a quarterback that's injury prone that you don't get an offensive lineman for. But these are going to be the things that I think need to happen. Do I think they're going to happen? Nope. I think we're going to keep banging this nail into the ground until everything breaks. And I'm going to be honest with you. If we keep doing this, I think Mike McDaniel's going to get fired. I think Chris Grier will get fired. I think what's going to happen is we'll have a coach and he'll trade away Tua. And what I think is going to happen with Tua as well is he's going to be traded to a team that is like the Carolina Panthers and is like the Saints and is like the Eagles, where he's going to have a good offensive line. And we're going to watch another Drew Brees light it up somewhere else because the Dolphins do this all the time. I hope it's different, and I hope that Stephen Ross realizes this quicker, that it's different. You have the squad, you just need the coach, and you just need the GM to do this right. But that's the way that I think we save our season. As always, guys, fins up. Love you all about the U. And the Miami Heat starting pretty soon. So we'll get into that as well. Love you all. Praise God. Peace.